Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to Fanside Naija. And this is the Fanside Naija podcast, a quick review of the FA Cup game between Manchester United and Man City at the Wembley Stadium in London, England. This took place yesterday as of this recording, and it was the curtain raiser for the new season. Of course, the name is Victor V6 Godfrey. Thanks for joining us and being a part of this. It was a curtain raiser for the new season, and it saw two teams who have a strong, deep-rooted rivalry, given the fact that they're both, two teams that play in the same city. So obviously, each time they play against each other is known as a derby. It is called, of course, called the Manchester Derby, one of the fiercest derbies in world football, and it lived up to the billing in terms of excitement. It was a game that featured two teams playing two different styles in the two halves. The first half was obviously dominated by Manchester City, although United had a glaring chance that was a pass across the goal that Mason Mount couldn't get to, a pass from Ahmad, the young player who seems to be uh, showing so much promise that might be a revelation for him this season for United. On the other hand, you had Man City hit the bar also, or the post, I should say, also in the first half. And to be honest, they dominated the play in the first half. They were the better side and they showcased that ability well more than anything else. Also, it was a game that showcased City with a weakened side, if you will. You can say defeat that team or second 11. You're fair with that assumption. It was City who had a weaker team in terms of not having all their top players playing. However, in the second half, it was a different ball game. United seemed to be more spirited. They seemed to be stringing passes together. They were catching, Man City a lot on the counter attack. Bruno Fernandes will get a goal that will be ruled off for being offside. A lovely ball over the top, lovely finish to also add up with that. But of course, he was offside. He moved in just a bit too early. Rashford will have a sit of a chance that he will kind of scuff, but also bubble to hit the post before Garnacho will give United the lead in the game. And then Bernardo Silva, who came in as a second half substitute, would eventually give Man City a late equalizer, just only 7 minutes after the goal by Alejandro Garnacho. Now, this now tells us a lot about these two sides. The history or the omens don't bode well for the team that wins the Community Shield, as 13 the last 13 times this has happened, they don't go on to win the league. Of course, the only other exception was Man City in 2018 when they won the Community Shield and also won the league. But every other time that has happened, the team that didn't win the Community Shield either goes on to win the league, or the team that won the Community Shield doesn't win the league. But of course, these are all just football omens. Doesn't mean it's going to happen that way. But it's a good start to have. I don't feel that Man City would lose the title this season, but I feel Arsenal might push them. Arsenal might just do it. They really might if you really look at things. But Liverpool seems to be playing good football under Arne Slot. Manchester United seems to be cooking with their transfer windows with Ten Hag. And Man City, to be honest, I feel Man City are getting to that final stage where they have picked maybe 2 seasons ago, and it's time for those players to move on. It's time for the next generation of players to move on. But with the, all of course, the massive impending lawsuits in terms of the breach of financial fair play rules that are still to be investigated, you have that air of uncertainty around the team. You have the likes of Haaland. Haaland, of course, has been around with the whole preseason, but Haaland hasn't really performed. Up to the Haaland we know, I mean, this is still early days anyway. He didn't really have a good game yesterday against United, but you can be sure that he's going to be in for the running when it comes to the top scorer at the end of the season. But my point is that for City, you have Pep, who is closer to the end of his time at City than he is, you know, let's say to stay another maybe extra 5 years. I feel he might just leave once his contract runs out, which has been the indication from the Spaniard. So basically, that's just about it. It was a game, a curtain raiser. It ended on penalties. United losing 7-6 on penalties. Man City winning the Community Shield. And it's just a good way to look forward to the new season. And of course, it's going to kick off with Man United taking on Fulham 16th of August. That's Friday night football. But my point is that this game was one that showcased two sides to a coin. City still very dominant once all their senior players are available. Of course, Rodri's still on holiday, given his exploit with Spain. And then United seem to be a different prospect this season. Sancho, Rashford, Ahmad, all attacking players who are showing promise. Of course, a few signings here and there. Wan-Bissaka has finally left for West Ham. Mazwari and the Ligt are coming in for United. So it looks like a team. They have Ruud van Nistelrooy now as part of their coaching staff. It looks like a team that on their way for a solid top four finish this season. It has United. On the other hand, I think City will be in that title race. I don't know if they're going to win it this year. I have a feeling Arsenal might nick it. But if Arsenal doesn't win the league this year, obviously to Manchester City. And while I was talking, we do have somebody joining us at this point in time, and that will be the Iceman, who has joined us now. So, Ice World, welcome to the Fanside Naija podcast. Um, Very briefly, we are trying to cut time under the 10-minute mark. What are your thoughts on the game yesterday that saw Manchester City defeating United on penalties, but the game ended 1-1? What were your takeaways from that game? You need to unmute your button to speak. Ice World, if you can hear me, you need to unmute your button if you want to speak. Well, it seems like you can't hear me. So, Icewood, if you can hear me, you need to unmute your button to speak. We've actually started recording already. What were your takeaways from the game yesterday between Manchester City and United, the FA Community Shield? What were the highlights from both sides that you noticed from the game yesterday? That will be a big factor going forward this season.
Yeah, we saw a brilliant game yesterday from both sides, especially from the side of Manchester United. They had the chances where they could have easily won the match from the first half. They missed a few big chances, and also in the second half, we saw some good counter attacking from the United side. But they were so unlucky that they couldn't convert. Their front man, talking about the man Marcus Rashford, wasn't with his core boots yesterday, and he just couldn't convert a few chances that were given to him against a very strong City side. And for City, when they had their chance, they made good use of it and equalized from making it a 1-1 draw, at full time. And sadly for United, they also led in the penalty shootouts, but also they couldn't keep that lead, and they just lost the game out of
Yeah,
their poor
so
quality up front, where
we've
they
done
couldn't
the.
convert.
If you can hear me, we've done that rundown already. But the question I have for you was your takeaway from the game. You mentioned it was a game of two halves, in my opinion. Yes, United had the better, clearer chance of the first half, but City were very dominant in the first half for many spells of the first half. Then the second half, United kind of played them off the park. Uh, However, one can also argue and say that City didn't play their very strong 11. You had lots of young teenager, let's say academy boys. But when you look at that
Yeah.
game as an indication for the longer term of the season, what are your takeaways from both sides?
Okay, on I'll start on the side of City. Of course, this gives them a boost, going into the new season. It gives them that morale, and it gives them the morale to challenge yet again for another title. With their players back to the squad, their main team, it gives them that bigger quality than every other team going into the season. But for Man U, I think they are still in a good way for Manchester United. They just need a few touches here and there. Let's say they were supposed to bring in a new left winger, because I don't see how they can rely on Marcus Rashford throughout the season. I can boldly say the best season we've seen of Marcus Rashford was 2 seasons ago, but you can't keep depending on Marcus Rashford for the whole of 38 matches in a season. I don't think
Mm,
he's going to be able to deliver 100%.
mm,
Yes, and for Jadon Sancho, he's a very good player, though, but he's also a kind of, I call them form switchers. They switch form so
mm,
easily. The class is there, the class is permanent, but the form switches so easily. And I know a lot of people will say, why am I calling Marcus Rashford all he missed the penalty yesterday? No, it's not even. If you watch the preseason games before the game yesterday, you just see that Rashford is a bit. I don't know. He seems so gloomy, and there are so many options in the market. There is a Mavididi from Leicester, very good winger and very young. If
Okay.
Manchester United were to take a good offer,
Mm.
Mavididi of Leicester, if Manchester United were to table a good offer for such a winger, at least there needs to be competition on the wings. And we have not yet seen that. Even Sancho is just, he's a bit setback and he's not really there for me. So I think they need a few touches here and there. They are good. They're a solid team. I love what I saw from them yesterday. They played a very good game of football, especially Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. They held that midfield very well, but they just need a few little tweaks here and there, and they'll be good to go.
Okay, well, that's an interesting take. Obviously, that is from a very strong filter of sentiments, given the fact that you're a Man United fan. However, you did make a few valid points. I don't know about the gloom and doom. I think Marcus Rashford has always had this very bland facial expression. He's not someone that has a natural, let's say, smiley face like a Garnacho. Rashford has this very stoic look all the time. So he looks as if he's always sad, even if he's happy. He has that very, robotic face. So, but like you said, it was a good game to be honest, quite entertaining to be honest. If you're neutral, you must have enjoyed it. Um, but yeah, the season looks very promising for both sides. United seem to have to be doing wonderful business in the transfer market, even though it looks like an Ajax reunion for some weird reason. However, it's Ten Hag preferences, and we'll move on with that. As for Man City, for me, I feel City have picked, like I was saying before you joined the podcast, I feel they have picked, and the start of the decline is now because Pep is closer to the exit door, and we all know once Pep leaves City, it's not going to be the same again. And then on a final note, given the whole, charges that they have in terms of financial fair play, all these things kind of loom over them. I feel
Yeah,
Arsenal will push them to the very end this season. If Arsenal don't win the league this year, that's a very big blight on the legacy of Arteta. That will, for me, will mean he will
very.
be a successful loser. So he needs to win something this year. It doesn't even have to be the Premier League. He needs a trophy. It could be the AFL Cup, the FA Cup, because this crop of talented players at Arsenal have played some wonderful football to finish a season second place, and that's their trophy. That's not very good. So yeah, I think the game was okay. It promises to be an exciting season. The season starts with United and Fulham on Friday. That is the 16th of August.
August.
Arsenal, of course, will be in action against Wolves on Saturday 17th, and then United and City and Chelsea will have that incredible clash on the 18th, which is Sunday. Which, as you would also imagine, fans and Nigeria will be there live to give you guys the update. So, thank you so much, guys, for being a part of our podcast. If you're listening to this on Spotify or watching on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. Very many thanks to the numbers guy, even though he came late, but it's all good. Thank you for being a part of the podcast as well. And to you guys listening or watching, I say this all the time: be good and be safe. Keep it good as a sports fan. Remember, on Fanside Naija, you have one duty and one duty only, and that is to unleash your passion. Bye for now, guys.